And on this Pi Day, we have a word of the day. Say word of the day. Word of the day. Today's word of the day is hemisphere. Hemisphere means half of a sphere. Here you can see a picture of a hemisphere, or half of a sphere. And a characteristic is that we find the volume of a hemisphere with the same formula as a sphere. We just divide the answer in half. Now, on Pi Day, you might enjoy a tasty snow cone to celebrate. And when I have a snow cone with my friends, I like to point out that it's a composite figure of a hemisphere and a cone. My friends say, way to ruin a tasty snack, Drago, right? So, of course, we're going to find the volume of the snow cone as a way to celebrate Pi Day, right? Which is really finding the volume of a hemisphere, right? By finding the volume of a sphere and dividing that in half, and the volume of the cone, given these dimensions. So here are the formulas we're going to use. The formula for the volume of the cone, and that formula for the volume of the sphere, which we'll divide in half to get this hemisphere part. All right, so now that we have these two formulas, right, that we're going to use to find the volume of this entire shape, let's use a calculator. All right, so we're going to start with the cone. Now, the cone has this fraction, 1/3, and the way we're going to type the fraction on the calculator is we're going to use the parentheses buttons above the 8 and the 9 here. So I'm going to click the parentheses. I'm going to do 1 divided by 3, close parentheses. And following this formula, we're going to do times, and we're going to hit the pi button here, happy Pi Day, times r squared. So my radius is 3 here, right? And I'm going to hit the square button next to the 7. And times the height, which is 9. Enter. All right, so we got a lot of decimal places here because we're multiplying by pi. This is the volume of the cone, and I still need to find the volume of that hemisphere. But first, let me just write down that number there, right? I'm going to include some of those decimal places, not going to round just yet. And now we're going to find the volume of the hemisphere by using this formula for volume of a sphere. Let me clear this. Okay, so again, we have a fraction, 4/3. I'm going to use the parentheses keys above the 8 and the 9 here, right? So parentheses 4 divided by 3, close parentheses. That's how I would type that fraction, 4/3, times, use that pi button again, happy Pi Day, times the radius. This time, it's that radius of 3 cubed. So we've been using a lot of buttons on the side, pi and x squared. I'm not going to do x squared. To raise it to the 3rd power, I'm going to use this key right above it that has that arrow. I like to call it the caret button, right? That's how you type an exponent of 3. On your calculator, you might actually see the arrow and then the 3. I hit enter, right? So this is the volume for the entire sphere. I want just half of it. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to hit the division key, and you'll see ANS pop up. That stands for answer. So it's taking this whole number with all these decimal places, which is nice. I don't have to write it down or type it out. Just hit the division key. We're going to divide our answer by 2. So that's the volume of the hemisphere, and we're going to add the volume of the cone that I found right here. So here again, I'm actually going to hit that plus button, right? And you can see the ANS. It's taking that answer with all those decimal points, plus the volume of the cone, 84.823. There you go. So when it's asking for the volume of this entire shape to the nearest tenth, right? I got all these decimal points. You can see I'm rounding it to 141.4 cubic centimeters. Volume has cubic units there. So that's the volume of the snow cone that we found using our formulas on the calculator. Happy Pi Day!